Imagine if the so-called Dark Ages weren't just a series of unfortunate events, but were in part engineered by the rise of Christianity. It's a wild thought, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like saying that um, the collapse of a civilization had a deliberate twist to it. I mean, doesn't that really challenge our standard narratives?
Exactly. You see, when the Western Roman Empire fell, it wasn't simply bad luck. Libraries burned, schools disappeared, and even those few who were literate ended up serving the church. It's almost as if the church not only couldn't save civilization, but
Mm,
um, actively redefined its fate.
that's fascinating. It really makes you wonder, was it a sort of intentional redirection? Or maybe it was just a lack of preparedness.
Well, according to Dr. Richard Carrier in Science Education in the early Roman Empire, it might not have been accidental at all. He suggests that the rise of Christianity replaced, pagan Rome's vibrant intellectual traditions, public education, engineering marvels, and rational inquiry with something more dogmatic like obedience and faith. Kind of like trading a dynamic debate for
Yeah,
a strict rule book.
right. So basically, the dynamic, inquisitive nature of pagan society was swapped out for a system that didn't really encourage questioning. I mean, isn't it a bit extreme to suggest that faith completely shut down rational inquiry?
That's a good point. But consider what historian Catherine Nixey recounts in The Darkening Age. Christian mobs storming libraries, smashing statues, basically erasing centuries of art and science in the name of
Mm,
purity. It's like they demolished years of hard work in just a few furious decades.
wow, that's pretty intense. But isn't there a counter-argument? I know historians like Peter Brown argue that Christianity was simply unprepared for the collapse, a sort of survival mechanism in a crumbling empire, rather than a mastermind behind cultural destruction.
Absolutely. And that's where the debate gets really
Yeah,
interesting. Brown contends that when barbarians invaded and the economy fell apart, the church was just stepping in to fill a void. It wasn't that it purposely destroyed the legacy of Rome. Instead, it was kind of overwhelmed by the events unfolding around it.
that makes sense. It suggests that what we see as a collapse of intellectual values might just be the natural consequence of a civilization facing too many external pressures.
True, but then we have Edward Gibbon, well over 2 centuries ago, positing that Christianity, by replacing inquiry with prayer, extinguished a crucial reasoning spirit. It's almost like, um, the natural world went from something to be understood to something to be feared. Don't you think?
Interesting. I do see his point, yet I respectfully challenge that a bit. While Gibbon's critique is sharp, isn't it possible that the religious fervor was more of a reaction to the chaos rather than the cause of it? After all, the societal collapse was, multifaceted.
You've got a valid perspective there. It's definitely multifaceted, but then think about this. As Roman schools of rhetoric and philosophy vanished, their places were taken by monasteries that focused solely on scripture. They essentially replaced logic with a series of doctrines. It's
Right?
like a shift from experiments to interpretations.
And that definitely had implications. I mean, if you lose the tradition of questioning and rely only on established texts, you stifle innovation. It's like having all the ingredients for a brilliant recipe, but refusing to add any spice.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, um, think of it as a collapse of values. Before, there was this rich tradition of curiosity. Greek, Roman, even early Christian traditions had moments of inquiry. But soon enough, even figures like Galen, whose writings had been essential, were banned for questioning divine creation. And that essentially
Yeah,
meant that curiosity got its own banishment. It's almost tragic.
it really is. And by the year 600, when Europe had forgotten how to build aqueducts or even read much of its own literature, it wasn't merely a loss of technical ability, but a loss of a whole culture of innovation.
Definitely. And yet, even in that darkness, small lights remained. For example, in the East, Muslim scholars preserved Aristotle and translated critical texts, advancing fields like algebra and medicine. It's fascinating how these lights eventually sparked the Renaissance back in Europe. It's like the embers waited for the right spark to ignite a whole blaze of reason.
Exactly. The narrative then becomes, how did the monopoly of faith truly keep the light out? Was it a deliberate act? Or was it just an unfortunate alignment of historical circumstances that favored strict religiosity over inquiry?
Well, maybe it wasn't a deliberate conspiracy, but one could say it built the walls that inadvertently kept the intellectual spirit contained. It's like, when a system locks itself in for survival, it often ends up stifling its own potential for growth, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I can see that. And it really challenges the notion that the Dark Ages were just natural historical tragedies, instead suggesting they were partly a result of an ideological shift that wasn't necessarily beneficial for, long-term progress.
Exactly. And when you think about it, all these scholars, Carey or Nixey, Gibbon, they paint a picture that's both cautionary and really thought-provoking. It forces you to ask, what really happens when a society shifts from curiosity to dogma? It's a major societal crossroads.
And it highlights the fragility of intellectual freedom. When you suppress inquiry, you're basically setting up conditions where the pursuit of truth itself can wither away.
Right. That's why, when those preserved texts from the East re-entered Europe, they sparked a phenomenal rebirth. The Renaissance. It was like, after centuries of darkness, reason was suddenly given a chance to, shine again.
Yeah, truly
How
remarkable.
light can be rekindled even after such a long period of suppression.
It really gives you a sense of hope amid the critique. Even if the Church, in that view, contributed to a dark period, it ultimately set the stage for a rebirth of inquiry and progress.
Exactly. And, consider this analogy. It's like a garden that's been overrun by weeds for so long, and then a gardener comes along, clears out the overgrowth, and gives room for new, vibrant flowers to bloom. The darkness wasn't permanent. It was, just a phase before growth could happen again. That really captures it.
I love that analogy. But I have to say, while the critique of Christianity's role is compelling, we shouldn't ignore the idea that many of these outcomes may have been inevitable given the complex collapse of the Western Roman Empire. There's a chance that, even without such strong dogmatic shifts, chaos might have led to similar losses of knowledge.
You're right, and that's a crucial nuance. It's a debate between intentionality versus inevitability. Were these changes a deliberate strategy of the Church, or simply the byproduct of a society trying to cope with, insurmountable challenges?
Exactly.
And that debate remains open.
And it opens up such an engaging discussion on how we interpret history. The way we look back at these periods tells us a lot about our current values and the importance we place on intellectual freedom.
Absolutely. So whether you view Christianity as the main culprit behind the Dark Ages or as merely an unfortunate participant in a vast historical collapse, it underscores the delicate balance between faith, reason, and the progress of society. It's
Right
a
on.
reminder of how critical the pursuit of truth really is.
And it challenges us all to think, what happens when we let institutions, even powerful ones, hold too much sway over how we learn and perceive the world?
Exactly. And that critical question resonates even today. So, if this perspective on history opened your eyes or, made you reconsider the narratives we hold, it's a reminder that history is as much about the ideas we cultivate as it is about the empires we build or lose. A thought-provoking take, indeed.
Well, thanks for this engaging discussion. It really puts things in perspective and proves that even our darkest times can spark a new dawn of enlightenment.
Indeed it does. Thanks for joining this deep dive into history's complexities. Stay curious and keep questioning, everyone.